Hey everyone, this is Pastor Luis, and I'm in the garden again. It is the month of January, almost to the month of February, and it's still cool outside here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm busy, I'm getting ready for spring, and I'm maintaining all of my tools, especially my shovels, my scissors, and my axes and my hatchets. This here is my 4-pound cobalt axe I use for splitting wood. We bring in mesquite trees, and I use that for smoking meats and cooking barbecues, and I can't live without some really tasty smoked and cooked meats. And it's how I get this really good wood cut. But I need to have my axes and my hatchets well maintained. I learned long ago that a tool that is not well maintained is a dangerous tool, and so we need to do that. This is one of my newer axes, and I don't know what I'm going to name her yet. If you have any ideas on what we could name this axe, please write it on the comments below. And as long as you're down there, why don't you go ahead and push that red subscribe button and give me a like if you like these videos. But today we're going to learn how to sharpen our hatchets. And boy, do I have some hatchets that need some maintenance. Well, let's get to it. Now, one of the tools that you may not often think about, but it is important, at least for me in my garden, is my hatchets. I have a lot of wood, specifically mesquite wood that I use. We cut down mesquite trees and I chop the wood and I use it for smoking meats and fish and for cooking over in barbecues, and nothing matches the incredible taste when you're cooking with wood. But you need some good hatchets for that. Now, the hatchets that we're going to be sharpening today, I'm almost ashamed to show you, but that's what we got to do. We've got to work with what we've got. The first one is this one. Ready? Look at that. This one, I will tell you, was lost in our yard for over 6 months. And so during that time, it became rusted. It looks very neglected because it has been abused too. This back edge here, where you see it's just misformed back here, that's because I used it as a hammer, and I didn't know you weren't supposed to use it as a hammer, but I did. And so it's got some abuse there, definitely some neglect. It has no edge whatsoever, but there's hope for it. Here's its friend, another axe that's just been in storage. I just found it actually today, so I'm excited about getting it back up and running. It's got a rubber, almost plasticky handle, and the blade itself, as you can see, it's all rusted. Again, misshapen, misformed on the back end, and it has no edge to it, no sharpness. Well, there is hope for them. There's hope. We can do something about these hatchets. We're gonna put some an edge on it again. We're gonna clean it up, and in order to do that, we need some tools. And so let me share with you what I've got here.
Okay, this is the equipment that I'm going to use in order to sharpen my hatchets. You know, we begin with that metal file there in the middle. As important as it is, it's not the only thing we need. I also have a sharpening stone, a whetstone sometimes it's called. You know, if you don't have a whetstone, you can actually use river rock. But I'm going to be using that whetstone, and whenever you use this kind of a whetstone, you want to have some kind of sharpening solution that you put on the stone. I bought this honing solution at our local big box, and I think it'll help. I also bought a 2-step knife sharpener. I haven't tried it before, but I'm going to use it today, see how it works. And because of all that rust busting I've got to do, I've chosen to get some sandpaper, in this case 120 grit. We'll see how it goes. And of course, my ever trusty WD-40. That's going to help me with breaking some of that rust. Well, let's put this stuff to work and see how it goes.
Okay, I'm going to take a break for just a little bit. I'm almost done. I'm almost finished, and I'll show you the finished products in just a little while. It's going to need a little bit more work, but I want to take this moment because as I'm grinding and bringing all of this friction on these blades, it brings to mind a scripture that I want to share with you. It's found in the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 17. And it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." Now, this was written by a man by the name of Solomon, one of the wisest people in all history. And in his day and age, they used iron for almost everything from farming equipment to weapons of war. And it was essential if they were going to be productive, successful, they had to maintain their weapons and their tools. My dad always taught me when I was young, he says, a tool that is not maintained is a dangerous thing. And we don't want to be dangerous. And neither did they at that time. And they knew it was essential to have your swords, your knives well sharpened, to have all your farming equipment well maintained, well sharpened. Well, this is important because Solomon saw this and he uses it as an illustration of relationships. He saw a connection between the work of the farmer or the soldier while they were working on their tools, their weapons, with relationships. You see, each and every one of us is unique. We are very different and we're all growing and we're all becoming. But in that process, when you evaluate all of the factors and all of the influences that are helping us to be shaped to whom we are, the most powerful, the most influential factor is the people that you're surrounded with, the people that you call friends. Now, I've always shared my belief that there are two kinds of people in your life. There's the kind that God brings into your life to draw you closer to Him, to help you mature and to grow towards purity, towards the building of your character to being godly. And then there's the people that you just simply allow into your life. And in that mix, there's good and there's bad. And those two types of people are the greatest influencers. But if you take that illustration, that example, then if the people that God brings into your life are there to help you, they're like this file. They're like this file. They're going to come into your life and they're going to begin to file away. Friends, real friends, take oftentimes time. Relationships are built over time, and time develops into trust. And when you have time and trust, you have confidence to have honest conversations. See, a good friend is not afraid of friction, of conflict, of heat. They will celebrate things with you. They will celebrate the good things and enjoy them with you, but they're also going to help you out in those times when you're not doing so well. They'll be that person that gives direction and guidance, and when necessary, accountability and correction. You need these kind of friends, because as iron sharpens iron, so a good friend will sharpen you. He'll help you to be productive, useful, not dangerous. The Bible has a scripture in Proverbs chapter 27:6. Let me read it to you. It says, "Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful." And so there's a second kind of friend, apart from those that God brings in, and those are the people you let in. Now, many of them are good, and many of them are helpful, but there can be amongst that group friends that you've let into your life, and they're like this wood. And basically, the only thing that wood does in your life is it makes you dull, because they're drawing you away from God. They're not leading you towards healthy growth or maturity. These are the people that are going to say yes to whatever silly idea you have. They're going to go along with whatever you've got going. They don't have the confidence or the trust or the love to speak truth into your life. They're not going to bring heat, conflict, or friction, because in all honesty, they don't care. They're there for the good times. They're there for the fun. They're there to use you. They're there just to go along with someone who's special like you, but don't expect them to have any deep relationship. When you hang out with these kind of people, all they're going to do is make you dull. They're going to draw you away, make your heart cold towards the Lord. They're going to draw you to other things and distractions. And so of these kind of people, you're going to have them in your life. But your goal is to not let them be the major influencers on you, but that you influence them. Draw them out and see if they can't become on the road to becoming this. And if they're not on the road to becoming this, then in all honesty, they don't need to be your friends because they're not helping you. Solomon, in his great wisdom, God in his great wisdom, has us in a very special place at a very time with people around us. And as iron sharpens iron, the people who surround our life, they're going to influence us. And we want to make sure to make good choices when it comes to friends. Don't just pick the people that say, well, I'll never judge you and I'm never gonna, bring conflict and I'm not gonna be a problem like everyone else. No, get to the place where you appreciate those people who are files, who are iron in your life. Take some time and think right now, who are those people who are not afraid to speak truth to me? Who are the people that celebrate life with me, but are also ready to get really deep into issues of life, bring accountability, and with love, speak truth to me? And thank God for them, because He gave them to you. They're a gift. So make sure you're identifying them, praying for them, and always try to enlarge that group, because with many advisors, with many counselors, we find wisdom. So what a great little lesson we have here, that we have the opportunity to become vulnerable, open to criticism from those people who have earned our trust over time, and they can make us better. Well, we've been working at making these hatchets better with time, with a relationship, just sanding and gritting away and filing away. Let's see the results of our hard labor. Let's take a peek at them. Now, it's been a labor of love. It has taken a lot longer than I thought. I want to remind you that my goal here wasn't a restoration of the hatchets, but it was to make them serviceable again, to clean them up, to put a nice edge on them, because I've got a lot of mesquite wood that needs to be cut, because I've got pork butts, I've got ribs, I've got some brisket that is just waiting to be placed on a hot bed of coals from the wood that I have here in the garden. And I can't do that if I don't have the right tools. I will tell you that I did take advantage of a grinder that was made available to me so that I can grind down those back edges of the hatchet handles because they were really misshapen, misformed, and I didn't want that to be a safety issue. So here it is. If you remember this plastic handled one, look at that. I was able to clean it up. It still has some pock marks, some rust in it, but I was able to shave that down on the sides, make it safer. And it has a really, really nice edge. On this hatchet, I actually tried this two-step knife sharpener that I bought at my local big box store, and it worked too well. I mean, it put such an edge on here. This is super sharp. It's almost scary, dangerous to me. And so I figured that's probably too much for me. I'm not going to use it on the other one. Speaking of which, here it is. This is the other hatchet. Do you remember how awful it was? It still has, again, some pock marks with rust in it, but the blade is serviceable. As you can see, it's clean, it's good, it's ready to be used in the garden. So these two hatchets are now ready, serviceable, and they're better than they were before because iron sharpened iron. And I hope that our discussion is something that sticks with you so that you might remember that it is important that we think about the people that are affecting and influencing us in our lives. And I hope it was a blessing for you to kind of take this little journey through this axe sharpening tutorial, if you'll call it. And it gave us an opportunity to really think about the things that make for good relationships, time and trust, and not being afraid to speak into each other's life. Well, I hope it was a blessing, and I really appreciate you and the support that you give me and my channel. Continue to walk this journey with me, and remember, I'm always pulling for you.